So obviously when it comes to your business measurement and management, one of the pieces that you're going to need to look at is the finances of the business and the financial health. We talk about profit and we talk about loss. It's important to understand both sides of that coin. Now, firstly, if you're a small sole trader or if you're just starting out, I'd encourage you to think bigger than you are already, because with your goal setting and your planning, you're probably hoping to get there anyway. So financially, start acting like that now. If you think about it this way, even if you're not a company or a PTY Limited business owner, start acting as if you were. So a PTY Limited versus a sole trader, there's subtle differences, but one of those differences is the company makes the money and spends the money. A personal business owner will generate revenue or income for themselves, but spend it, and they'll generally spend it much more frivolously. So if you had to set yourself a salary from early doors, what would it be? Again, even if you're not registered as a company or a PTY Limited company right now, start acting like you are. Pay yourself a salary as opposed to dipping in and out of the finances when you need them. It's much more scalable so that if you do have a slower period in your business, you're not going to be flat broke. So the first thing is, if you're not a PTY Limited company, start acting like one. Act like a business that's bigger, that's growing, because you will be. So big businesses act different. One of the things that they do really well is manage their tax. So again, start preparing for taxation. This is a really big hurdle for many business owners, and it's something that they have to deal with retrospectively when they realize that it's a fee that they're going to have to pay. So ensure that you set aside money for tax really early on. Now, when it comes to profit in the fitness business, one of the best ways to measure and manage your profit and to increase your profit is to focus on selling more memberships. So your memberships are going to generate a huge portion of your profit. They're going to generate about 80 to 90% of your overall revenue, generally speaking. So as you can imagine, the more members you get on ongoing memberships, the safer your business is going to be. I discourage selling products and packs and one-off things because you have to sell a lot. Financially, it's quite risky because you might have a big month, but then you equally might have a small month. So if we can, start focusing on profit by virtue of getting more memberships. Now let's look at your expense line. So what are your expenses? Again, if you are shelling out a lot of money for things that are not really necessary, let's just look at an example. If you're maybe outsourcing your social media campaigns and your just general social media management, but you're able to do it and you do have the time, well, use that time, right? Only outsource things that you certainly can't do yourself or that your time is not well used for, okay? Now, expense lines, one thing to do is claim back some of the things that you're outsourcing, but the other piece is to just measure and monitor exactly what you're spending your money on and how you're spending it, the frequency, the amounts, things like that. You should walk into each and every month having a gauge on what your expense line is going to be, and you should have a gauge on what your profit line is going to be. Your profits are going to be largely affected by your expenses because you're only going to make so much money on a revenue side and you're going to spend so much on the expenses. So let's make sure expenses are really well managed, and things that you don't really need but you think you do, move them on. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to get moving with your expense line. So from here, the next piece that you probably want to do if you don't already have is get an accounting software. Really important, again, to do from early doors. There's lots of different ones that you can use, very cheap and also very easy to adopt. Two examples, I'll give you QuickBooks. So maybe have a look at QuickBooks, or you can always look at one of the big dogs in the game, Xero. So those would be two really simple, easy to adopt, easy to use and cheap accounting softwares that will move away from all these spreadsheets that you may be using right now. So finances, start acting like a big business. Treat yourself as if you were an owner of a PTY Limited company, not a sole trader. Put money aside for tax, it's going to be really important. Your profit and your revenue is largely going to come from your membership sales. Expense lines manage them tightly. Again, if you don't need it, move it on, and get an accounting software to track all of this stuff. That's going to be pivotal to your financial success.